What's going on YouTube? My name is Austin Zaback, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the stimulus check updates and everything you need to know about the CARES Act and what is going on right now. I made a bunch of videos about a month ago, but I saw so many people posting stimulus check updates every single day, and I really didn't want to be one of those people. So I figured I'd just wait a month, make sure I got all the updates that I could possibly get, and just update you all at one time. So it really does seem like things might be starting to look up a little bit, okay? In the month of June, about 4.8 million jobs were actually added to the economy, and unemployment fell to 11.1% in June. Just about all of the stimulus checks from that initial care package look like they have been pretty much sent out. And up until recently, all 50 states were reopening and starting to go back to normal a little bit. The CARES Act was passed back in March, and although you've seen a million videos on YouTube, there actually has not been anything passed since then, but we're still gonna update you on a couple of key things that you're gonna wanna take into account. So definitely, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would just tap that like button. It helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm, and we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. One of the biggest things that you've probably seen over and over and over again is the second stimulus check. So what's actually the deal with the second stimulus check? I mean, are all of these YouTubers just talking about it to talk about it? Or, I mean, what the heck is going on? We've obviously all heard about the HEROES Act, which amongst other things would actually provide another check. And while the House did pass the HEROES Act, the Senate pretty much has absolutely zero intention of passing it. However, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell did say at the end of June that if another one were to get passed, that it would be this month. So the GOP is definitely warming up a little bit to the idea of helping out the American people a little bit more than they did. And rightfully so. The outbreak has been spiking in 45 of the 50 states, and a lot of the businesses that finally started to open back up are now having to shut back down. And speaking of closed, the Senate is actually in recess from July 3rd to July 17th. So we'll just have to see if in the remaining 2 weeks of July they'll be able to draft up another stimulus. So a lot of the benefits that we saw in the CARES Act are actually about to come to an end. For example, Mitch McConnell also said that the additional $600 a week in unemployment would not get extended past July 31st, and that we would not see that if we were to see another round of stimulus. And we definitely saw the SBA and the PPP program get used up very quickly. And although the funds were replenished, they are being used very quickly, and it is just about over. And the tenants of federally backed apartment buildings, aka Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, were given 120 days to essentially not be evicted by failing to pay rent, and that comes to an end on July 25th. Additionally, the grace period for single-family renters ends on August 31st. The grace period for federally backed mortgages actually was for an entire year. So you are still good if you have a mortgage and that mortgage is federally backed. Just keep in mind that forbearance just means delayed, and it doesn't mean that you don't have to pay altogether. You will still owe those payments at some point in the future. So with everything really coming to an end, it does make you wonder if they're gonna roll out another potential stimulus or if that'll just be that. For small businesses, the PPP or the Paycheck Protection Program actually got a 5-week extension that was passed by the House and the Senate, and it is expected to be passed by the President as well. So far, the Small Business Association has approved 4.9 million loans totaling $520 billion. And even still, there's about $129 billion remaining in the PPP program. If the president decides to sign the extension, small businesses will have till August 8th to apply for the relief. The president apparently supports larger amounts of additional stimulus money, but he quotes that it has to be done correctly. I'll quote him here where he actually said, "I want the money getting to people to be larger so they can spend it," he said. I want the money to get there quickly and in a non-complicated fashion. But what is that really going to look like? I mean, you've probably seen a lot of speculation and a lot of proposals. Most recently, it was reported that the Trump administration has plans to spend about $1 trillion on the next stimulus bill. This will likely include a back-to-work tax credit of potentially $450 a week for those who return to work, which was proposed by Republican Senator Rob Portman from Ohio. And this could really be a great incentive for those people that are wanting to go back to work for them to actually go ahead and do so. And for all of those people that were laid off, it could really provide that additional push for them to actually go out and find another job. This could definitely be good for people that are really just sitting at home and they've gotten used to sitting at home, for them to actually get up and go out and look for a new job or get back to the job that they were laid off from. So at the end of the day, I think that could actually be fairly good. And that particular bill would also see probably a little bit of a form of a change to the unemployment benefits. Because what we do know, as we talked about earlier, is that the $600 a week in additional unemployment will most likely not be extended. The president and a lot of the Congress members felt that that $600 in additional unemployment really incentivized people to not go back to work, and it really incentivized people to just stay home and kind of be lazy, because a lot of the people ended up actually making more money on the unemployment, as we talked about, than they did at their regular job. However, Republican leader Kevin Brady from Texas actually also proposed a bill to turn unemployment benefits into a back-to-work bonus of $1,200, which could, in theory, be actually another option. And the president has really been a major supporter in a payroll tax cut. He even went as far to say that he won't sign off on any bill at all that doesn't include a payroll tax cut somewhere in the actual bill. And if you're sitting here watching the video and you're like, well, how in the heck does a payroll tax cut even benefit me? Then let's just go ahead and break it down really quick. Have you ever calculated your expected paycheck by simply multiplying the amount of hours that you're going to work by the amount of pay that you make per hour? Then you were probably a little bit surprised or even a little bit frustrated or upset when you got your actual check and it was less than what you anticipated it should have been. And obviously part of that is taxes and good old Uncle Sam, but there's about 4 or 5 other things that get deducted from your paycheck as well. And most of those are actually payroll taxes. You have to pay those from each and every one of your paychecks, and so does your employer. So with a payroll tax cut, you would essentially not have any of those charges at all, and neither would your employer. So it would actually be a win-win for not only the employee, but the employer as well. So in a nutshell, you would take home more money at the end of the day, and your employer would take home more money at the end of the day. Or if you are an employer, you would take home more money at the end of the day. And that is what the president really, really wants to see. Which basically means that you and your employer, or if you're an employer, you and your employees would be able to actually spend more money, which would in turn stimulate the economy. And again, the assumption for that is that you actually have a job. If you don't have a job, then a payroll tax cut isn't going to really help you at all. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. If you're not an employee right now, you don't have a job, and you're not an employer, you're not employing anybody else, then the payroll tax cut for you particularly actually wouldn't do you any good at all. A payroll tax cut actually does also put a major strain on a couple of different government programs like Social Security and Medicare, which are actually paid for by payroll taxes. The next stimulus bill will likely also include some form of liability protection for businesses opening back up. This is so they're protected and held unliable for any particular employee contracting any particular illness, which we're not going to name in this video, so just smash the like button instead. And this is really a nice benefit for companies because there are people out there that are a little bit sue happy, and they will go through great lengths to make sure that they get any sort of free money or free handout that they can possibly get. At a roundtable with major executives in the restaurant industry, the president actually also proposed a $4,000 tax credit, which would be called Explore America. Basically what that would do is any travel that you did here in the United States between now and December 31st of next year, 2021, they would take 50% of your travel expenses and they would give it back to you in a tax refund. And of course, clearly the goal here is to stimulate tourism in the United States. As you probably know, tourism has been hit really hard throughout the entire country, and especially in the US, I mean, people don't even want to go to the grocery store, let alone go to the top of the Empire State Building. And I understand the Explore America tax refund, but the problem with that is that in theory, you're not going to get that money until you get your tax refund, which means you'd have to have a bunch of cash just laying around to take your family on a trip to Oklahoma. And if you don't have money to pay rent or pay your mortgage, I have a hard time believing you have $8,000 laying around to go to Oklahoma with you and your family so that you can get a $4,000 tax credit at the end of next year. Not only that, but this was just kind of mentioned at a roundtable kind of meeting. And at the end of the day, I really don't see this actually getting passed as an actual bill. Overall, I really think that the next stimulus will probably just see what we saw the last time. We'll see a $1,200 check, and pretty much everybody who qualified last time will qualify this time. And I think there will be a little bit more people that actually do end up qualifying, like dependents and things of that nature, which really is pretty similar to what we saw in the HEROES Act. And that was a bill that a lot of people talked about for a really long time. Because really, the major reason that the HEROES Act will most likely not get passed in Congress is because of all the stipulations that are kind of tied to that. And in a nutshell, what I think will happen is we'll see bits and pieces of the HEROES Act in another bill. And as I said at the beginning of the video, the Senate is in recess for the first 2 weeks of July. So at the end of the day, what we have to do right now is really just sit back, relax, and not do a whole lot other than just smash the like button because, well, there's just really not a whole lot we can do, unfortunately. So we'll just really have to see on July 20th what the Senate and what Congress are actually able to pull off. And of course, we're going to need bipartisan support as we did the first time. Everybody's going to have to agree. And I am no politician, and I certainly do not even like politics. So all I'll really say is that getting two parties to agree, really getting anybody to agree in America right now, seems to be really, really tough. My hope is that if we see another round of stimulus, it'll just provide the relief to those who really need it. And we don't provide a bunch of money to people that are already making a bunch of money, and that the people that truly need it get their money quickly, efficiently, and we can just get the entire thing over with and get back on track to a better economy. And of course, I'm not saying that the original bill, aka the CARES Act, didn't help anybody, but there were definitely some people that it didn't help, and there were definitely a lot of people that, in my opinion, it might have helped a little bit too much. There were just so many problems. There were people that were making more money on unemployment than they were actually going to work, and there was just a lot of negativity in the world, a lot of laziness, a lot of stuff ended up happening, kind of, I feel like, all at the same time. I would love to hear your thoughts on whether or not you think we'll see another round of stimulus, or whether you think we're just going to have to figure it out and the American people will just have to go back to work and they'll just have to make money the old-fashioned way. But drop in the comments section below and let me know what you really think. I would appreciate that. And I really don't know on my end of things. I really believe that whatever is supposed to happen will hopefully happen, okay? It is a very weird year. You have the election year, and you have a ton of other stuff going on. And I just hope that anybody that is into politics or a politician would make sure to put the American people and the American people's interest above their own and above their own paycheck. And aside from that, I really try not to get into it that much. And I just am looking at the exact same data and all of the same things that you're looking at the end of the day. So again, just let me know what your thoughts are, and I'd be really interested to hear that. And if there is any major updates, then I'll definitely make sure to keep you posted and make a video on it as soon as I possibly can. Otherwise, I tend to make videos on my channel about how to invest in real estate for beginners, or even people that have a medium level of experience. Also the stock market, personal finance, how to invest, how to save, and kind of everything like that. So definitely, if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you would smash the like button, click that subscribe button, and stay tuned for my regular content. And until then, I'll see you in the next one.